Hello everyone, it's Carrie, and in today's video I'm working on Howleen Wolf from Monster High. She's going to be one of the dolls for my Tattered Fairy collection, which is, I have a few of them still available on my Etsy shop, and the link is in the description box below. So she's going to be one of those dolls. And in today's video I'll be going through the face up, as well as how I constructed the hairstyle, and the final look. So as usual, I started out with a few coats of Mr. Super Clear and let that dry, and then went right into the eyes where I lay out the white to kind of get an idea of what the shape is that I'm looking for. I wanted her to have sort of a sad or curious or confused expression. So I'm having the eyes kind of tilt down on the sides, and then I'll give her some shading near the inner temples. Or inner forehead, I guess. So I'm using pan pastels to add some shading to the upper lip and under the lip and around the nose and the eyelids. I'm using a mix of a few different shades of the pan pastels to get sort of a dark tan look. So the shading that I'm doing is a little bit darker than her skin tone. This is the first Howleen that I've worked on. I've worked on numerous Claudine wolves, but never a Howleen, so I was excited to get working on her. I thought she would look pretty much the same as Claudine, but she does have a little bit more innocent, sweet sculpt. So I'm really happy with how it turned out. She's a very sweet, cute little doll. I wanted her lips to look real natural, so I'm going in very lightly with a peachy pink color and just kind of highlighting on the bottom lip and just blending that out, just keeping it just a little bit darker than her regular skin tone, just to keep it natural looking. I'm using the same color on the cheeks for the blush and blending that out with my colorless blender. And for the lips, I'm lining them just a bit with a terracotta Derwent watercolor pencil, just to give it some definition and shape. So since her hair is going to be a light white, I'm going to give her some light, very light blonde eyebrows. I'm wanting to get the shape of them first, so I'm going in with the Derwent watercolor pencil just to draw the line, and then covering that line up with the pan pastel in white. After I have the shape, then I start to give them some texture and definition by adding some browns and golden pencils, just to give the illusion of individual hairs. So I'm wanting to do a lighter pupil than the iris, so I first went in and drew that just so I could make sure that I didn't color over that area. Just kind of wanted to reserve that space. And I want to make sure that I keep that white in there, just because it helps the colors blend a little bit better, helps the colors show up a little bit better than just if I was adding the color directly to her regular skin tone. So I'm giving her green eyes. When I do green eyes, I go in with probably 3 or 4 at least different shades of green, and I blend it out usually with a white or maybe a light yellow watercolor pencil. My face-ups start to look really cartoony initially, And that's when you feel, I used to feel like I was done at that point, but the more you push it, the more detail you add, the better it'll look. So here again, more shading with different shades of green. I pulled out my favorite Caran d'Ache watercolor pencils. They're my premium pencils that I reserve for when I really just want to work with something really nice, or if I'm doing an important commission. Because those Caran d'Ache, I think they're just the cream of the crop. They're really the most creamy watercolor pencils and work best, I think, for face-ups personally. But my second favorite is the Derwent. I was recently asked, again, and I've been asked a few times about an alternative to Derwent or Faber Castell, and that's less expensive. I've tried several different brands of the least expensive watercolor pencils, and the ones that I found that worked were the Prismacolors. So some of the colors, strange, it sounds kind of strange, but sometimes the colors certain colors don't work very well. I find that the black and white work really well for Prismacolor, and if you have it sealed properly, you should be able to use all of the colors. They just may be a little bit more difficult to gain a stronger color. You have to do more layers. I've also heard that there's I think it's Lyra, Lyra, which is an inexpensive brand that is also works well, but I haven't tried that. But otherwise, the lower end, like Scholar, sort of cheaper ones, they don't tend to work very well, in my opinion. It just doesn't pick up the color as well as you would like. So here I'm adding in the highlights in the eyes. I'm using a toothpick for some really tiny little dots, and then I'm doing some highlights on the cheek, something that I just have always loved doing. So onto her hair, I'm starting out adding some gel throughout. I know I want to do just some lopsided buns on her. I wanted to show her ears, but because I thought the buns would look really good with the wings, so I decided to keep her ears intact but give her the buns. So whoever purchases this doll can restyle later if they'd like, and show the ears. So I'm using my thinning shears because I didn't want the buns to be too huge. With this hair being so thick, they can end up being very big and kind of take over the head shape, or they'll be bigger than the head, and I don't want that. So I'm using some thinning shears just to thin it out a little bit more. Before I style it. These little clips I picked up at the Dollar Tree. They're really inexpensive. You can get a big pack for $1, and they're by Goody. And they're perfect for, I use them in my hair sometimes. I have a few that I use for my hair, and then I saved the rest for my dolls because they're really good for clipping that hair up when it's so tiny. So I'm just adding gel, and the gel helps smooth out the hair a little bit better. This is just a really inexpensive brand that I also think that I got at the Dollar Tree. It's good because it's not too sticky, and it doesn't come out like you've added too much product. It's just and it's unscented. But it just helps a little bit keep that hair in place and smooth it out a little bit. So because I wanted the buns to be kind of lopsided and tall, I'm pulling the hair up quite high and then using some rubber bands to hold that into two big pigtails. And just adjusting it a little bit to cover up that ear. I know it's hard to see what I'm doing. I apologize. So two big pigtails. And then from here, I just twist it around. I twist up the hair a little bit, and then I twist it around into a bun. and then holding the very end of it, I'll add another rubber band to hold it in place. And it was pretty simple. And then I use the end of this, it's a foiling brush or foiling comb. This is the kind of comb that hairstylists use to add foil highlights. I like it because it has like a really small end and it works well with the dolls, so I use that just to pull out the hair a little bit in certain areas at the end. And there I'm adding the final rubber band to hold it in place. And then I'll take a little bit more gel on my fingers just to smooth everything out. But this look will stay in place pretty well. And there she is. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comment section below. I'll answer everything that I can. Thank you so much for watching, and if you like it, please give it a thumbs up. And if you haven't subscribed, I'd love it if you did, so you can catch future videos. Thanks so much for watching. Have a great day. Bye!